Spreading over 15 years, Ben 10 is Cartoon Network's longest-running series, renting worldwide over $6 billion. Counting the 4 original series and the reboot timeline, it cumulates a total of 5 series, 2 live-action movies, and a handful of video games. Shifting from the innocent 10-year-old Ben to a more mature and world-builded franchise in the Ultimate Alien Force era of the show, Ben then finished his journey on our topic for today, Ben 10 Omniverse. Omniverse is by far the most overhated series in the main timeline, often accused of having ugly visuals, bad scenario, and being the black sheep of the franchise. I personally think it is a bit more complicated than that. Ladies and gentlemen, greetings, I'm Alex from Zelrix, and today I will give you 10 reasons to love Ben 10 Omniverse. Although Omniverse, is it perfect? No, far from it. There are undeniable problems with this series, problem that I will go over quickly. As quick as you behind your screen can click the big ass button beneath the video to become a subscriber. You can also remember to activate the bell to be notified whenever a new video comes up. This way, you will never miss me ranting about children's TV show. On that note, let's see what's really wrong with Ben 10 Omniverse. I've got 5 words for you, too big of a shift. Yes, the art style and formula change. Exit our iconic Alien Force trio to be treated with a body cop plumber in the person of Rook Blanco. Meanwhile, the shift in art style, it's hard to get over it, especially when we talk about familiar faces such as Chromestone, Upgrade, or Spider Monkey. The angle are pointier, the proportions are more cartoony. We are really far from the comic book aesthetic the first 3 series took years to establish. Meanwhile, there are also a good lot of creative decisions that shouldn't have been made. In Alien Force, a Humongosaur was a giant that has the capability to grow even taller. Eventually they decided that he couldn't do it, or if he still can, he doesn't do it. Since we are on the topic of Humongosaur, he has a lot of fusion in this show. And introducing the gimmick of fusion between Ben 10 aliens, it was wonderful. That said, the infamous design of Humongosaur proved that sometimes it is bullshit. Seriously, look at that, it's a bigger pile of goo than goop. That's it. The problem with Omniverse is the fact that you feel the mercantilism. This show is so trying to make you buy cheaply made in China toys. Look at that. Between the incredible number of new aliens, the fusion, the weapons, and blocks. An alien made of Lego blocks, seriously? That said, each problem I just listed is present in every other single one Ben 10 iteration. First of all, remember when I said Humongosaur could not grow in Omniverse? Well, there is this received idea that Ultimate Humongosaur cannot grow as he doesn't need that power. So 2 things. First of all, I remember back in the day there was a website that clarified that yes, Ultimate Humongosaur could grow even bigger than regular Humongosaur. Plus, Ultimate Ben uses Ultimate Humongosaur power to grow. Ultimate Humongosaur! So we have 2 proof that Ultimate Humongosaur does indeed possess the power to grow, but in Ultimate Alien we never see him use that power. So whatever led to the decision to nerf Humongosaur and take back his growing power, it was taken before Omniverse, or at least it was already in the head of the writers. Plus, stop living in denial, every single Ben 10 show was trying to get you to buy toys. Think about it, when you were a kid, how many Ben 10 Alien did you own as a toy? In fact, scratch that, just how many Omnitrix did you own? Yeah, that's what I thought. Apart from that, the rest of the problems, they're really anecdotic, and I think the fandom doesn't give Omniverse a fair shot. So just like James Cameron in that episode of South Park, I'm here to pull up the bar. This is 10 strength in Ben 10 Omniverse. The visuals.
But you said the visuals were bad. You can't seriously defend this artwork. It's a crime punishable by death.
Oh, goddammit, not him. Okay, so guys, this is a...
Let me introduce myself. I am Captain Salty, the defender of source material. Hero of the book is always better team. Fighter of the conservative element of medium. You need to listen.
Salty.
The more things change, the more liberty
Salty.
they will take to adapt
Salty.
bill of media. And goddammit, What?
They're doing beardless dwarves in the Lord of the Rings TV show.
Are you kidding me right now? How dare they change the great Tolkien mythology? Incredible, I can't believe it. I'm gonna write them an angry letter. No, an angry tweet. No, an angry tweet in a letter. They'll see who is stronger. Those pieces of...
Alright, how about us sometime? This is my heart nemesis. Sorry about that. So, the visuals in Ben 10 Omniverse. Yes, they're different, but that's the only reason why people trash on it. And yes, I did say this artwork was not that great, but after a few episodes, it grows on you. Plus, a very popular criticism towards the show is that the animation is terrible. But I believe people get animation and art style confused. The animation is how the elements are drawn and redrawn to create the illusion of movement on screen. It's controlling energy, it's playing with colors, light, movement, etc. And Omniverse objectively has the best animation of all the 4 main series. Time to be honest, you can't see that. Tell me in all good thinking, this is poorly animated. Meanwhile, even though Ultimate Alien Force is my favorite era of the show, look at the big final fight between Vilgax and Ultimate Swampfire.
Now that we're in my element, a sinking ship is your element? That explains so much.
He's just standing still there, no movement, nothing. Ben 10's arch nemesis in the final fight, in the final episode of the final season of Alien Force is as well animated as a picture of my grandma in line at the supermarket to buy a big ass bag of apple. That's the same expression she has, the definition of neutralism. How is that for great animation? In the other end, artwork. It's what people really complain about. How the element of foreground and background come together to build a coherent looking universe for the viewer. And on this level, yes, Omniverse is different, but it doesn't mean it's bad.
What? You are telling me that this huge shift in artwork doesn't bother you and you dare to call yourself a Ben 10 fan?
Ah, you got over the dwarf thing.
Yeah, I stormed into the studio with an angry mob. Not sure I can order product from Amazon now. But seriously, you are objectively wrong on this, you stupid idiot!
And tell me, Salty, how do you feel about the artwork of the original Teen Titan?
It's great, one of the greatest artwork in history. What does it have to do with anything? If you dare even think to compare this piece of art with that pathetic excuse for a show...
It's the same artwork.
What?
Derek J. Wyatt is the same art director for Ben 10 Omniverse and Teen Titan. It's the same artwork.
Was that bullcrap?
That's the proof. The aversion for this artwork is just the fanbase not adjusting to the new style. The fact is that shows like Teen Titan or Scooby-Doo Mystery Incorporated are praised for their amazing art style. With reason, all that thanks to Derek J. Wyatt, who sadly passed away a few months ago.
My life is a lie!
And the fact is, yes, it's a bit more cartoony and some characters are difficult to adjust to. But in the meantime, other faces like Gravitak perfectly fit this art style. The show is trying something and it is well done. Another example, I'm not a big fan of the Ben 10 reboot, but I gotta say the art style is taped for a younger audience and it is very coherent and efficient in doing what it does. Because this specific series is designed for a young modern age cartoon, just like Omniverse shifted from a realistic anime-inspired artwork to having a bit more of a cartoony vibe and adapting the laws of physics to the objectively superior animation on this new status quo. And that's it, it's just a question of change. You see, Salty? Salty?
I'm a monster! My life is a lie! I'm sorry, Mr. Wyatt! I'm sorry!
The canon. Alright, let's get this out of the way. Yes, Omniverse is known for the second most infamous retcon in the saga. Number 1 being Alien Force with the retcon of the existence of magic, which was later re-retcon. Anyway, the Ben 10 canon is a mess. I'm talking, of course, about Kevin's father. In Alien Force, it was revealed that Kevin 11's father died at the end of Ragnarok while he was a plumber, giving us a pretty sick story arc and a really great cinematic reference.
Yes. Who are you?
My name is Kevin Ethan Levin. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
My name is Inigo Montoya. You killed my father. Prepare to die.
This was later retconned in Omniverse by Cervantes with a new backstory for the character.
I never had a partner named Devin Levin, did I? You implanted that memory years ago, so I'd feel obligated. So I'd keep an eye on Kevin.
Yes, as a matter of fact, I did give you that memory. And others.
That said, as despicable as this retcon is, it's pretty easy to ignore. All we have to do is accept the fact that Max did indeed have a partner named Devin Levin, and that Cervantes was manipulating him into thinking he didn't have said partner. If we do that, the entire storyline with Ragnarok still makes sense, and the entire arc where Kevin is turned into a Ben 10 killing machine by Cervantes still makes sense too. And just like that, all the holes are patched and we have a pretty solid backstory for Kevin. And that's it. Otherwise, all the add-ons to the canon are pretty great. Like the origin of the Max Force, when we learned that they were indeed created using Kevin's power, reinforcing the rivalry between him and Ben. Here, Kevin became the ultimate Ben-slaying weapon, but he chose otherwise. Kevin Levin's character arc was always about looking in the mirror and realizing that he didn't have what Ben had growing up. Someone to teach him how to control his power and to make the right decision in the character of Grandpa Max. But ultimately, Kevin made the right choice and became a hero worthy of the title, truly cementing his friendship with Ben Tennyson. Turning Kevin into a great friend, ally, and rival in the canon of the universe and from a writing and narrative standpoint. Also making him one of the most well-developed characters in the entire franchise. That said, god damn it, this retcon was stupid. That's also the show that patched the hole and gave us answer on the 5 years gap that occurred between Classic and Alien Force. What happened in the following months, why did Ben take off the Omnitrix, and also how this summer road trip with his cousin Gwen and Grandpa Max truly changed Ben as a person. I'm thinking about this episode where we see Ben unlocking the DNA sample of Guy, an alien that was present in the original series but completely came out of nowhere. For example, he was in the opening scene of Secret of the Omnitrix, one of the most ambitious Ben 10 projects back then, and was never introduced before that in the series.
But Secret of the Omnitrix has two alternate opening sequences, one with Heat Blast and one with Accelerate, and according to the wiki, the Heat Blast opening seems to be the canon one, so who gives a crap about High Guy? He's not even canon to the first series, technically speaking.
He's also the alien Ben uses to fight the Negative 10 in arguably the highest stake point of the original series. And he still comes out of nowhere, so to understand this fight, the original show counts on the fact that you saw the gold edition of a film which is not only an ugly-ass mercantile tactic, but also a huge disrespect to the entire canon.
Heretic! Heretic! We have an heretic!
And let's not forget the malware flashback that Plains Out just explained how and why Ben took off the watch.
You know you've been doing an awful lot of winning since you took possession of my Omnitrix. So, you don't learn anything when you win, Ben Tennyson.
This flashback managed to confront Ben to an uglier truth about the hero world and lashes on to him a huge traumatism that will force him to take off the Omnitrix, giving his decision to put it back on in the first episode of Alien Force a whole lot more meaning, since we see in Omniverse he still grieves the loss of feedback.
One omission in your files that piqued my curiosity. Ask me anything, I'm an open book. Tell me about feedback. That book's closed.
Yeah, feedback. Speaking of which... In Omniverse we learn about feedback, the DNA sample of a conductoid, and without any doubt the most significant alien since Heat Blast all the way back in the first episode. This alien not only becomes a staple of Ben 10, but he's also one of the aliens that has the most backstory, only outclassed by Ghost Freak, Alien X, and Chromostone. Feedback himself, he's a pretty great alien. Simple but efficient character design, he's present just as much, great backstory, and face it, he manages to be interesting while Ben already has a crap ton of electric aliens. In the meantime, he's objectively superior to a lot of aliens that were introduced in other shows. Does anyone give a crap about Nanomech? Returning aliens. In Ben 10, introducing new aliens, it's always a win-win. From a marketing standpoint, it means more toy to sell. From an audience standpoint, it's always cool to see a new guy. Be honest, as a kid, even above its hero time, Ben 10's real catchphrase was, "Oh, a new alien," because it meant a new guy to like, new powers to discover, and new action scenes to see. And yeah, that's cool, but you know what else is cool? A new alien that doesn't flicker out of the space-time continuum the second Ben is done with it. We think about Dado, who became a fan favorite but was only used twice in the original series. Also, there is the situation of High Guy that I've already talked about. And don't get me started on the Halloween trio.
Yes, talk about it!
Alright, I was gonna do it anyway. Blitzwolfer, Snarrow, and Frankenstrike, formerly Ben Wolf, Ben Mummy, and Ben Victor. They didn't even have proper names, talk about low care level. In the original series, Ben used each and every one of them exactly once. That was enough to sell toys, but not enough to bring them back. Even Frankenstrike, he's powerful enough to take the scare in space at peak power, and he's not even mentioned afterward. Although spamming 8 blasts and 4 harm every 2 or 3 transformation, yeah, go with it! In Omniverse, each of these guys have a decent amount of screen time. Not enough to be called the new icon of the show, we already have a runner for that, but it's better than the original treatment was. We also see freaking apparition of Buckshock and Artiguana, 2 aliens only featured in special episode where Ben is aged 20 years. And while we're on the topic, Ben 10,000. Flashback to classic. One of my favorite episodes is that time Ben and Gwen were abducted by Gwendolyn to travel to the future. Then Ben will meet his future self in the person of Ben 10,000, who will be featured in another special episode after that. In Ultimate Alien, we're treated with the appearance of Ultimate Ben, a future version of Ben who managed to access all his powers without transforming. This establishes the fact that whenever Ben meets his future self, he is bound to make different choices that will eventually lead to a different future, thus a different Ben 10,000. And Omniverse has the best version of Ben 10,000 there can be. The original Ben 10,000 was great, but now he feels a bit plain. He was just an older version of Ben with a most powerful Omnitrix, which was great back then. But after Alien Force and Ultimate Alien, where the canon was a bit expanded, he just feels out as okay. Now coming to Ultimate Ben, a little bit more gimmicky, that's cool. But he used all his powers without transforming. Transformation is the core of the character. It's what makes Ben Tennyson Ben 10. So this time it's a great execution, but a poor idea. Ben 10K is a clever mix of the two. Just like 10,000, he transforms at will, having access to all his transformation. And just like Ultimate Ben, he managed to exploit his own gimmick, truly turning him into his own character. Plus, let's be honest, it's always super interesting to see him fuse his alien, like for Mongosaur, Big Chuck, or your Mongoop. No. I said it was crap, and I will stand my ground. But the point is, this version of Future Ben is the best because it doesn't just feel like an alternate future. We see the climax of Ben's power and we understand all the character growth he has accomplished, but also all the character growth that still awaits him. Alien X. Alien X is probably the most mysterious alien in the entire canon. This alien's appearance has become undecipherable from the Ben 10 canon, even though prior to Omniverse he was only used twice, and let's face it, he didn't do that much. While in Omniverse he's developed both as a transformation and as a species. We see a bit of the general idea of Celestial Sapien, how they evolve in a society, what are the true rules surrounding their incredible amount of power, their politic, their hierarchy, etc. Be a fan of Omniverse or don't, but if you were to see the fight where two Celestial Sapien beat the crap out of each other and don't think this is a great fight, you will be a liar. The end of a journey. Ben 10 was released in 2005. Living in Quebec, I wasn't exposed to it until a few years later, around 9 years old. If I had some issues with the original show, I instantly became a fan when Alien Force came around in 2008. Ben, he was 15. He was almost like a big brother figure to me that I saw evolve from a young immature kid with a hero complex to a teenager with burning passion for protecting people. And finally, at the end of Ultimate Alien, Asmut, the creator of the watch, deemed Ben worthy of the true Omnitrix, and this is what led to Ben 10 Omniverse. Here once again I wasn't convinced by the big shift in artwork. I didn't really get into Omniverse until I was like 19 or 20 years old. And to this day I can't forgive myself for that, because seeing that young kid evolve from that immature little brat to a hero worthy of the title, protecting an entire universe in Omniverse where the stakes are even higher than the end of the original series or the end of Ultimate Alien, yeah, that was great. And I would have loved being able to follow that as I was roughly the same age as Ben. I think it would have been interesting. I think I just lacked mind opening and criticism back then. Generally in the fandom, people say that season 3 of Alien Force destroys Ben's character development, that he reverts back to an immature young guy, super arrogant and who thinks that he's above everyone. A very valid criticism if you ask me. In Omniverse, we see that Ben still has some of these flaws, but also that he has managed to overcome some of them. He manages to put his ego aside to really become a hero. And it is confronted to this new reality that Ben will evolve, not only fighting new or old villain, but also seeing that he has to accept the change that come with growing up. Change personified by Rook, his new partner and best friend. Friend with who he will live new adventure as much if not even more than with Kevin, Gwen and Max. Giving off some great and impressive storylines.
You dare call this a strong point? Ben 10 Omniverse is an episodic show. It totally destroyed the timeline. The 3 other shows took years to develop.
Okay, Ben 10 is, has been, and will probably always be an episodic show with episodes you can watch in a random order without consequences. But there always is seemingly story arc in place. Vilgax won the Omnitrix, the hybrid invasion, or the 5 prisoners of Agrigor, only to quote a few. And in Omniverse, it's the same game. I already talked about the feedback story arc, but there's also the Cervantes arc where Kevin makes an all-awaited comeback. Or the Zscair arc that really developed the lore around the Halloween alien, even giving us some new ones. There's also the Maltruant arc that I really like, an arc where Ben and Rook have to chase an evil Chronosapien through the entire timeline. The arc will lead to the discovery of a Quantumillion warship outside of time and space, where Ben and Rook will essentially create the Prime Universe by unleashing the Big Bang. The Strongest Feats. If you've been on the internet, you know that the world of Power Scaler exists. And since you're watching this video, you probably know this infamous episode of Dead Battle where Ben was put against Green Lantern. Green Lantern will eventually win the fight. This episode is wrong for the sole reason that Dead Battle broke one of their most important rules. Both candidates in the battle must be featured at their max power. And max power, in addition of being a terrible dad joke opportunity, is also the definition of Omniverse. Most of Ben's greatest feats are from Omniverse. Why? Because the stakes are higher, which means that the writer have to step up their games and give Ben the opportunity to rise above and overcome new challenge. Obviously, we think of the Celestial Sapien trial, when Ben used Alien X to fight off another Celestial Sapien, probably the only time we saw that much power on screen. There is even a theory on the internet that says that the Celestial Sapien are so powerful that this fight is not really happening, but rather is a physical manifestation of what really is going on, as our feeble human mind wouldn't be able to understand if we were exposed to the truth. Speaking of Alien X, early on in the series, Ben takes his form to create a new universe, his own having been destroyed by an Annihilar. Yes, Ben Tennyson, 16 years old Ben 10, has created a universe. And you know what? You think this is the only one he has ever created? Grow up! Later on, we are introduced to Maltruant, an evil Chronosapien who wants to destroy the universe to create a new one at his image. He's both one of the greatest villains in all of Ben 10 and the greatest menace the timeline has ever known. The final of the series shows Ben using all his transformation in a climactic end of his story to absorb the energy of the Annihilar and redirect it as a Kamehameha on Maltruant. The power generated by Ben's attack is so great that it resulted into an explosion that was actually the Big Bang creating our universe. And then, let there be light. That's pretty impressive and probably Ben 10's strongest feature. Although it doesn't mean it's his greatest moment. Ben Tennyson's best moment. When we talk about Ben's greatest moment, we often think about that episode where he faced both Kevin and Vilgax after unlocking Master Control. This episode did prove that Ben was incredibly versatile with the Omnitrix and is far from being the idiot the show depicts him to be. Something even declared by Asmut himself.
Then I saw you grow, witnessed your bravery and ingenuity, using the Omnitrix in ways that never even occurred to me.
And then there is this moment that always gets me a bit more than anything in Classic or Alien Force.
This summer may not have turned out the way I planned, but I wouldn't have changed a single second of it. It was an honor fighting side by side with you, Benjamin Tennyson.
You weren't so bad yourself.
But I must give my personal pick for the greatest Ben 10 moment to Omniverse, the episode And Then There Were None, where we are introduced to Vilgax's new plan. The Squid Overlord decide to hide in a universe where Ben never got the Omnitrix and use it as ground zero to destroy the entire multiverse. If he succeeds, the only universe left in the multiverse will be the Omnitrix-less, giving Vilgax all the luxury he needs to conquer the universe without having to deal with the Ben Tennyson. Only the Ben Tennyson from all across the multiverse decide to team up, led by Professor Paradox. Vilgax decides to himself recruit his own team of evil Ben Tennyson to hold off the heroes until the bombs goes off, and when it does, each of the Ben gets blown up until there are only 2 left. Only listening to his courage, Ben Prime shields No Watch Ben and gives him the Omnitrix, saying the line that shapes the entire franchise.
It's just a gadget! Be the hero!
Ben Prime's sacrifice is my favorite Ben 10 moments because it perfectly represents what Ben Tennyson is all about. Anyone could have found the Omnitrix. It was even supposed to be Max, and there are dimensions where Gwen found it. The important part is not the power, but what you do with it. Kevin abused the power of the aliens for his own chaotic needs. Vilgax wants it to conquer the universe. Eon wants to turn Ben into a duplicate of himself, and so on. Ben versus all his villains. Different motivation, but all these motivations come from the same place, the Omnitrix. So this moment and the event that result from it are both coherent to the timeline and to the writing of the character, and this is why it's my favorite Ben 10 moment. This doesn't make Omniverse the best show, but I just want people to recognize that, aside from being a terrible installment, it's just infamous from being different and ambitious, just like Ben himself. What about you guys? What do you think about Ben 10 Omniverse, and which is your favorite installment in the entire Ben 10 canon? Please tell me that in the comment section, and don't forget to follow me on my social medias to support my artwork. If you like art and Ben 10, remember to check my special episode of Fusion Factory where all the artists I recruited fused Ben 10 aliens. And if you like it, please consider subscribing and activating the bell to be notified whenever a new video comes up, sharing this video with all your friends, and as always, thanks for watching.